Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back. Welcome back to another video. So, in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the five things that you need to know about this full moon in Gemini coming up on the 18th of December 2021. Now, before we do dive into today's video, I want to know from you guys, what else do you think others need to know about this full moon in Gemini? Of course, I will be mentioning 5, but if there is anything else you would like to add or share, then feel free to do so in the comment section below. Okay, so with all of that being said, then let's do this. Okay, so the first thing you need to know about this full moon in Gemini taking place on the 18th of December 2021, that is that it will be opposing the sun in Sagittarius at 27 degrees, creating the number 9 in numerological terms. And the number 9 represents completion, transformation, spirituality, wisdom, and letting go. Indeed, when it comes to the number 9, there is something significant about going inward as we reflect on what our experiences have been so far. And this is quite fitting because full moons, they also symbolize completion, endings, and tying up loose ends, and really going internal so that we can move forward. There is plenty of letting go and releasing involved when it comes to matters of a full moon. And as I say, it's about tying up loose ends and finishing things up. And so this full moon combined with the number 9, well, perhaps this is signifying a time period where we truly go inward in order for us to examine our involvement in things. So bringing awareness, shedding some light on our inner workings, which naturally have an impact on what we do and how we act externally as well. But throughout the process, it's about really showing ourselves self-compassion. Showing ourselves self-compassion as we reflect on what we would like to change. Though, the question here is, what qualities about ourselves are we reflecting on? Well, due to this full moon being in Gemini, we are directing our focus towards how we communicate, how we research, and the ways in which we think and arrive to conclusions. Likewise, looking at our education, how we learn, similarly, what is our humor like? What is it that we find funny? And when we do communicate, is our humorous side received well? Is it not received well? What way do you talk to people to their face? But then also, what way do you talk about people when they are not present? How do you think when it comes to said people? What are your thoughts towards said people? Do the facts add up when you're having a conversation? When do you tell the truth? But also, when do you lie? And then lastly, even looking at how you establish general connections and relationships with others. Essentially here, this is a time for us to shine a light on these Gemini themes. And if there's anything that you would like to release, well, now is your opportunity. With that being said, okay, I also want you to keep in mind that there has been a few eclipses playing out within the sign of Gemini over the past couple of years. The last one was actually back in June 2021. And the one back in June was a new moon solar eclipse in Gemini. So from June until now, what have you learned? What would you like to release? what was playing out for you back in June in relation to these Gemini themes that I mentioned. And now with this being a full moon, perhaps there are things that you would like to let go of. There are chapters ending, doors closing, and situations coming to completion. So let's get into some examples. Let's say this full moon in Gemini is playing out in your 11th house. So looking at you, Leo, sun, moon, and risings. Well, maybe this is an opportunity for you to reflect upon how you communicate within your friendship groups. Perhaps you typically have plenty to say within these connections, and you're quite humorous, you're quite creative and playful when it comes to your friends, but also when it comes to your larger networks. But maybe there's something you feel you need to say, something you've been meaning to say for a while. Or maybe you are tying up loose ends when it comes to a group you were once a part of, or when it comes to a group that you are currently a part of. So after much thought, you realize that you and certain members within the group, you simply don't connect like you once did. Or perhaps you have been a part of a particular educational group, but after a great deal of introspection, going inward, you're ready to finish things up. Let's say this full moon in Gemini is taking place in your 7th house. So this is directed towards you, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and risings. Well, then perhaps this can be used, so this full moon can be used as a time to reflect on the types of subjects you talk about within your relationships. Maybe there is a topic you feel you need to touch on with a partner or with a friend on a one-on-one level, for example. And by bringing up said topic, you feel much more settled within yourself. Then again, it could be that this makes you feel nervous, it makes you feel anxious. By having a good think about things, you can reflect on how you wish to speak, how you wish to come across through the exchange. Then again, with that being said, with that Gemini energy, there can be the tendency of you overthinking the situation, overthinking what you wish to share. Though perhaps there's some research and there's some more investigation required on your part when it comes to even business relationships here, as another example, such as you reading over the facts or assessing your contract. Well, this moon can be used as a time to consider how said things make you feel. Could actually be that you close up a business situation during this time. Let's say this full moon in Gemini is occurring in your 3rd house. So this is for you, Aries, sun, moon, and risings. Well, perhaps this is a chance for you to reflect upon your choice of wording. When it comes to communication, reflect upon how you come across when you communicate. So you could look up new words to add to your vocabulary, or you can address how it is that you speak. So reflecting upon the ways in which you speak certain words, the ways in which you come across. Perhaps there are ways you speak that you would like to remain in the past, or maybe there are certain subjects or topics that no longer excite you or interest you anymore, that just no longer hold your focus. Then again, it could be that you tie up loose ends connected with the ways in which you learn and study. Maybe you want to switch things up, or quite possibly this could be a situation where you release emotional patterns associated with siblings, and it's such things that result in a change of mindset moving forward towards these people and towards these relationships. Or it could be that by contemplating the ways in which you use your voice, you usher in an opportunity to complete a cycle. So you can embrace change. You can embrace a new cycle. Okay, so moving on. The second thing you need to know about this full moon in Gemini is, like I said, it will be opposing the sun in Sagittarius. So let's look more at this opposition. So the sun representing our self-expression, our ego, our vitality, how we shine. And then the moon representing our emotions, our inner world, our unconscious habitual patterns, and how we feel deep down. But with these two celestial bodies opposing each other, it's creating a tug of war between the two. As one side pulls one way, the other side pulls in the opposite direction. Each energy wants to have the upper hand, therefore giving off this me versus you, tit for tat influence. But at the same time, there is an unconscious mirroring effect taking place. Though essentially it's about aiming to create balance and harmony between the two, which can be difficult to obtain for one, but also very difficult to maintain. And so therefore, with the sun being in Sagittarius opposing the moon in Gemini, there are potentials here, there are potential messages really here of if you would just understand where I'm coming from, then maybe we could talk more openly about how I feel. Or I'm feeling restless and bored because there isn't enough adventure and fun. There's not enough joy happening in my life. Or you can come at me with as many facts as you want, but I am still going to believe in what I believe because these are my beliefs and this is my faith. Or I think looking at the bigger picture is important, but if I feel a certain way, I focus on the details. And I suppose this is something to even consider when it comes to these signs, is that Sagittarius is all about the bigger picture, whilst Gemini gets in there and looks at those details. So you can kind of see how this can create a bit of a difficult challenge between the two signs. Though in terms of the unconscious mirroring effect, both signs can be scattered, argumentative, impractical, restless, impatient, non-committal, freedom-focused, and highly intellectual. Both have a way with words, we'll just say that. And both also prefer to move openly and freely. They like to know that they can come and go as they please. But what does this suggest for you during this full moon in Gemini? Well, it's about assessing these two opposing forces within yourself. Therefore, make sure you are locating the Sagittarius Gemini axis within your chart. Of course, keep in mind the house that Gemini rules over, that it sits in within your chart, looking at also where that full moon is playing out in Gemini within your chart, but just as much consider that opposite house, that opposite sign, which is Sagittarius. So let's say this full moon in Gemini will be taking place in your 9th house. So this is for you Libra sun, moon and risings. This means then that the sun is in your 3rd house in Sagittarius opposite. And so perhaps you can reflect on questions like, how does the knowledge I learn about on a day-to-day basis contribute to the bigger picture? Or how can I broadcast my wisdom and my insights so I can reach more people globally? Or what details add up to create my philosophies and my beliefs? And whilst you contemplate on such questions, you might find yourself becoming easily bored, impatient. You may feel scattered and undirected. One trail of thought may lead to another trail of thought, and then to another, and then to another, and then you're overthinking and your mind is going crazy because you're so cluttered. And if this happens, step back, breathe, try to quiet the noise. If you need to, or if you can rest, then rest. Yes, because with these two houses being impacted, it's likely that your mind is going to be heavily stimulated. You're going to be thinking a lot. Okay, so another example. Let's say this full moon in Gemini is occurring in your 1st house. So this is for you Gemini sun, moon and risings. This means that the sun is in Sagittarius in your 7th house opposite. Well, perhaps you can reflect on questions like, how does my partner's view of the world contribute to my view of the world? Or how do the judgments of others impact the opinions I have of myself? Or do I turn for others or towards others even when I know what I must do moving forward. So again, it's reflecting on these types of questions, or maybe it's that these types of questions, they may come up for you. And so it's having some time to go inward so you can see really how you feel about certain questions and about certain thoughts that you have. But then also keep in mind the potentialities of becoming quite scattered, restless. You may not want to address certain questions that come up between you and a partner. There can be that non-committal influence that can take place. So I suppose in a way, it's just being able to identify when these particular qualities, they start to occur. This leads me on to the third thing that you need to know about this full moon in Gemini, and that is that the North Node has been in Gemini, along with the South Node being in Sagittarius for the past 2 years. And eclipses have also been playing out within these two signs as well. Therefore, there is something quite significant about the growth and about the excitement and about the thrill of Gemini themes and patterns, along with the sharing and the passing on of these Sagittarius themes and patterns. North Node looks at the inflow of energy, and then the South Node looks at the outflow of energy. So let's get into some examples so we can ground this. So let's say this full moon is going to be happening in your 6th house. So this is for you Capricorn, Sun, Moon and Risings. This means that the North Node has been in your 6th house, and then the South Node has been in your 12th house for the past 2 years, along with these eclipses playing out within these two houses for you. Well, perhaps this time period, it has been about growing with excitement and thrill when it comes to your daily work, when it comes to your diet and your daily routines. Perhaps media, sales, marketing, technology, they are all big parts of your lifestyle. Maybe you work many different jobs, you're quite flexible, you're quite versatile. But then again, it could be that throughout this time, you haven't exactly taken a leap of faith. Maybe it's comfortable remaining behind the scenes. Perhaps you prefer to be secluded, or you don't feel an oomph to find a job that is more flexible, or quite possibly you just haven't really felt ready to take on new responsibilities. But yet, by putting yourself out there, by welcoming the new, by trying something different, then perhaps you don't feel as undirected, as scattered. Maybe you don't overthink as much. Or then again, it could be that it's the overthinking, it's the nervousness that keeps you from embracing these changes, embracing the new. But still, by putting yourself out there, it could be that you don't actually feel as stressed as you once did. Therefore, this full moon in Gemini can be used as a time where you reflect on your health and your routines, where you reflect on your working life, so you can make simple day-to-day changes that can be helpful in the long run. It's these things that can contribute to the bigger picture. So go inward and reflect on where you feel undirected and all over the place. Perhaps there are things that you would like to release, such as a sleeping pattern that isn't healthy, or a job that isn't as fulfilling or as inspiring as it once was. Or maybe it's a schedule that is impractical. So another example here is, let's say that this full moon in Gemini is happening in your 10th house. So looking at you Virgo, Sun, Moon and Risings, this means that the North Node, it has been in your 10th house, along with the South Node being in your 4th house in Sagittarius for the last 2 years, along with these eclipses happening within these two houses. And so maybe this time period, it has been greatly to do with growing with excitement when it comes to your professional life and your public image. Maybe marketing, sales, media, teaching, writing, these are connected with what you do long term. or they're connected with what you would like to do long term. Or maybe variety is the spice of life when it comes to such things. You really do like to switch things up. But perhaps things within the home and family have been requiring your attention and your focus. Maybe you've wanted to retreat more, or you've been processing your emotions a lot more during this time. Could be in relation to the past or in relation to current family situations. Maybe it feels comfortable doing the same things emotionally, or maybe you fear what would happen if you do things in a different way. But yet by remaining in your own little bubble of, I know all there is to know, you actually feel more nervous about things. Or maybe it's that it's your nervousness, it's your fears connected with the future that keep you from doing the things that you really want to do publicly out there in the world. Therefore, you could use this full moon as an opportunity to reflect on your public image and on your career, etc. See how you feel about certain changes, how you feel about marketing yourself differently, for example, or you could reflect on why you feel so stressed out and nervous about creative projects that present you in a different light. This could look like you releasing an old frame of thought in relation to your intelligence, or this could be where you finish up public connections that no longer serve you. And then again, this could be a situation where you bring a new way of teaching to a close. Another example, let's say this full moon in Gemini will be taking place in your second house. So looking at you, Taurus, Sun, Moon and Risings, this means that the North Node has been in your second house, but then the South Node has been in your 8th house in Sagittarius for the last 2 years, along with those eclipses occurring within these two houses. So maybe this time period, it has largely been about growing with excitement and thrill when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your income. Maybe you are quite quick-minded and versatile when it comes to these things. Perhaps you read up on new ways of handling such matters, or quite possibly your earning is linked to your education, to your educational background. It's linked perhaps to sales, to marketing, but at the same time, perhaps you're also dealing with some pretty heavy emotional things. Maybe it's felt difficult for you emotionally, such as there being a death in the family, or there being something related with loss. Or quite possibly you've been running away from intimacy issues or from emotional baggage, and so therefore you could use this full moon as a chance to reflect on your possessions, your security, your money, etc. See how your inner intensities have been keeping you from seeing things with fresh eyes. Also see how your intimate relationships have an unconscious hold on you. They can keep you from showing curiosity towards flexible material strategies. So this could look like you having conversations that you really want to have with a significant other about money, okay? Or this could look like you releasing any nerve-wracking security issues. This could quite literally mean physical security issues that you feel or that you experience with another, or these security issues could be tied in with your self-worth, so your inner security, how you feel on the inside. So therefore maybe there's something to be said about releasing or letting go of certain internal security issues that may hinder you or that may limit you. Okay, so the fourth thing you need to know about this full moon in Gemini is that both the moon and the sun will be making minor disharmonious aspects to both Saturn and Uranus. And that Saturn and Uranus are making a square between each other. So Saturn is in Aquarius and Uranus is in Taurus. Therefore, there is a resistance to change here. There is a rigidness surrounding growth and forward movement. This is something that we've all been experiencing collectively. And Saturn and Uranus have both been doing this dance a few times throughout this year. And so therefore they've been communicating a message of embrace this change or be dragged. So as if to say you have no other choice in the matter. It's not easy to address difficult things that we know deep down we should change, especially if the change feels like an uphill battle and we're too exhausted to climb up in the first place. But yet, if we don't, then what? Maybe you will keep doing the same thing, making the same mistakes and repeating the same excruciating cycle time and time again. Growth is not easy, but refusing to grow can be just as difficult. So keep this in mind when it comes to expansion, learning, communication, and furthering ourselves. So looking at those Gemini Sagittarius themes. So for example, maybe this full moon, it is taking place in your 5th house. So this is for you Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This means that the Sun will be in your 11th house, Uranus will be in your 4th, and Saturn will be in your 1st. Perhaps then this is pointing towards this battle between your family life and your personal life, but yet such things are impacting your friendships and your romantic relationships. So for example, maybe there is growth you would like to achieve romantically, but outdated family patterns have been impacting how you view yourself, which can then have an impact on you feeling loved and accepted. Or maybe it's an emotional habit that subconsciously influences how you see the world, how you see other people, leading to difficulty connecting with like-minded individuals. Then again, another example here, let's say that the full moon is taking place in your 4th house. So this is for you Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Risings. This means that the Sun will be in your 10th house, Uranus will be in your 3rd house, and then Saturn will be in your 12th house. Well then, maybe this is pointing towards a battle between your inner secluded life versus how you communicate and share. But yet these things, they are also having an impact on your family and on your professional life. So for example, maybe there is growth you would like to obtain within your home, could be redecorating, relocating, could be establishing a family. But outdated ways of thinking have been impacting how you feel about yourself. Or perhaps it's an inner struggle, it's an inner issue that keeps you from feeling settled and emotionally satisfied. But then it's such things that can keep you from embracing new opportunities within your profession. Essentially, you can use this full moon as a time to reflect on these internal battles that we can all experience when it comes to growth and change. Right, so the last and final thing, so the 5th thing that you need to know about this full moon in Gemini is that both the Sun and the Moon will be making major harmonious aspects to Jupiter in Aquarius. Therefore, this is a great time to reflect on your future. So looking at your hopes and your wishes for the future, see the possibilities, reach for new opportunities, look at the bigger picture, look into what other options exist for you. Maybe by broadening your mind and by widening your vision, you will find some pretty exciting and interesting things. Now, with that being said, Jupiter will also be making a square to Sagittarius, so be careful of preaching aggressively or of coming across as a know-it-all, or of pushing others to the side just so you can achieve the things you want. There can be a degree of selfishness here and being insensitive. Also, there's a likelihood of coming across as high and mighty, patronizing, condescending, whilst also being extremely hypocritical and contradicting. But it's doing these things because you believe your future aspirations are more important than someone else's, or because you believe that your beliefs and that your faith or your principles and your morals, that these things are all more important than somebody else's. So for example, let's say this full moon in Gemini is happening in your 12th house. So looking at you Cancer, Sun, Moon and risings. This means that the Sun will be in your 6th house, Jupiter in your 8th, and then Mars in your 6th as well. So this could be a great time where you reflect on your future hopes and your dreams and your wishes when it comes to sex, intimacy, when it comes to shared resources. So in this respect, see what possibilities lay ahead for you. You know, what could work for you. Widen your scope and investigate behind the scenes. You know, how do you feel when you look further into things? And also look at the good, you know, look at the good when it comes to sex and intimacy. And look at the things that you would like to really achieve in a beneficial, positive way when it comes to these things. But also consider how such things may impact your daily lifestyle and your habits and vice versa. You might even feel an urge to call someone out at work, for example, but be smart about it. Try and not act in a way that could jeopardize things for you, or even try and not act in a way that could jeopardize your health. Okay, so that's another possibility here. Though, let's say this full moon is taking place in your 8th house, so looking at you Scorpio, Sun, Moon and risings. This means that the Sun will be in your 2nd house, Jupiter in your 4th, and then Mars in your 2nd as well. So this time period, this full moon, could be used as a way to reflect on your future hopes, your future wishes when it comes to family, home and emotional fulfillment. So do your research when it comes to shared resources, look at the possibilities that lay ahead financially, be open-minded, also be honest and truthful with your partner if you have one, especially if you're sharing resources and materials with them. Bring positivity and joy into the equation, feel good and uplifted about your potential new choices, but also consider how these things may impact your physical security and resources and vice versa. You might even feel an urge to rush to the finish line before you have made the right type of connections, before you've even thought things through. Or maybe you desperately want to call someone else out over money-related matters without noticing how you have been contributing just as much. Basically, these aspects to Jupiter, being in Aquarius, they can bring about a powerful vision, a powerful goal that is exciting for you. But with that Mars and Sagittarius energy, just be aware of the steps you take in order to reach whatever your goal and whatever your vision is. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video all about the 5 things that you need to know about this full moon in Gemini taking place on the 18th of December 2021. Now again, I would like to know, what other things do you think others need to know about this full moon in Gemini? Let us know in the comment section down below. Now, if you would like a personal birth chart reading from me, then you can visit my website. Also, if you're interested in any merchandise pieces, along with any ebooks I have created, then you can visit my website too. Okay, so with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button, and also make sure that you give this video a like. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye! Happy full moon!